do this. Hello, welcome back to Nick Lenz's movie review. This is episode 39 and triple feature number 6. I'm going to do the first 3 Jaws movies. Yes, first, the original Jaws, released in 1975. And this film is only like just a little over 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 4 minutes. Now, a few interesting factors before I talk about the actual film. First up, this picture has been spoofed many times over the years. The Death Mark Malta series did a spoof of this. There's one with Jar Jar. I've seen that. Piranha has done this too. So, yeah, this is the most spoofed movie poster of all time. The girl who is swimming here and also in the film as well. She's actually naked. In real life, the woman, she's not an actress. She's actually an oceanologist. Someone studies marine biology. How she got the part to do this very small role is quite ingenious. They were looking for women to pose nude. Okay, for this one part. So what she did is that she took a picture of herself butt naked and sent it to Spielberg. It's like, okay, cast her in the movie. Yep. And for the actors in the film, most of them were very reluctant to do this very film. The only one who actually really wanted to be in the film was Roy Schneider, the guy who played the main character. Chief Brody, I think his name is. Yeah, Chief Brody. The guy who plays Chief Brody is the only person who actually really wanted to be in the film. Everybody else is very reluctant. Now, when you think of someone like Robert Shaw, who's actually very quotable in this movie, there's one in particular that he's famous for aside from this one. A film called From Russia with Love, starring Sean Connery, where he plays pretty much the main villain in the film, Red Grant. Red Grant and his character in here, trying to remember the guy's name. I don't really remember the guy's name. Quinn. That's it, Quinn. Yeah, this character's name is Quinn. The marine biologist, Richard Dreyfuss, he's a pretty interesting character himself, and it's quite interesting of them, basically the stuff they were doing prior to going out the actual water and actually taking on the actual shark, which they were trying to confirm because shark was attacking frequently. Now, in this particular version of the cut, there's some restored footage. Some people think that the shark doesn't show up until when they get in the ocean. In this version of the film, they actually do something that's quite ingenious. When I first saw it, I was like, I didn't see that before. The shark actually goes up a little bit earlier than actually he does. There's a brief moment where the shark comes out of the water. This is when he's near the beach. And this is when just before he chops up a guy in a rowboat. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. He chops up a guy in a rowboat. Yep. He, excuse me. But this film it has one unique feature to it, is that it was the first movie ever to be shot on the ocean. And unlike the way things are today, basically when they're trying to shoot in the ocean, it's like get a nice view, and then a boat comes in, like, cut. Yeah, it happened frequently when they were shooting this film on the ocean. And it's very dangerous to shoot on the ocean. So that's why a lot of these shark movies are shot near fictional water tanks. Yeah. This film, when it came out, believe it or not, now the film cost $9 million to make. Guess how much money it made at the box office in this entire time was in theaters? It made $470.7 million. I'm like, sweet Jesus, that's a lot of cash. Oh yeah, that's a lot of cash. And at that point in time, it was considered the highest grossing film ever made. And this was back in the 70s. Of course, the current highest grossing film now is, I believe it's actually Star Wars The Force Awakens. It's the current film that has that distinction. Jaws held it for several years. I think he held it for about close to a decade. But This film is just fun, quotable, and even though most of the film takes place on shore, but once again in the ocean, the film takes place on this very boat right here, the Orca. Now, one thing interesting though about this film, there was actually something happened in real life that involved sharks. Now, Quinn tells us, now apparently prior to this mission in World War II was actually classified. And this film actually revealed that basically, I think it was the sinking of the, I'm trying to remember, what was the name of it? It was the sinking of the Sullivans, I think it was. It was the ship the Sullivans were on. The Sullivan brothers. Where ships sank and the survivors basically barely surviving, and their boat and their raft was constantly sharks around and ate a few of them. I'm just exaggerating exactly what he said, but from what I've heard, people who actually did survive the actual thing that he references in here, they were very happy that he brought it up in the film. Very happy. They weren't mad at the writers of this film basically doing it. An interesting fact. The guy who wrote the original book, which I have never read the original book, is written by Peter Beachley. And I think, I'm not sure what else he wrote. Aside from this book. He wrote the screenplay and the novel that the film was based upon. He did, let's see. He did The Island, which is a film starring, the 80 adaptation, yeah, but, yeah, a few of his books were adapted into film, but, Jaws is his most famous one he's ever done. But that's nothing unusual. Even nowadays, this is nothing really unusual with the writer of the actual book that they're actually making films based upon, where the writer of the book actually co-writes the actual screenplay. That's nothing unusual. Heck, this is not an uncommon practice to do. So I praise. Now, here's something interesting though about this. Prior to this film ever being made, prior to production even starting, Spielberg volunteered to be the first director, be the first choice for the film. Now, the book itself had just prior to the film coming out, he suggested that he be the first person to adapt this book into actual film. Now, this is actually a second directorial film, but this is the first film of his actually to reach theaters. The first film is called Doom, not the one based on a video game. It has a similar type of feel that this one does. It was a teen movie. I've seen it. The one where a salesman's being chased by a semi truck, where at the end of the film, where the film is over 30 years, so I can spoil this, the truck gets destroyed. They kind of do the same thing this one too, where they blow the shark up too. And the reason why the shark doesn't show up that much in the film, now it's actually really good the shark doesn't show up that much in the film, prior to the actual time he's in the ocean. Now here's the reason why. The reason is that the actual mechanical shark they used for the film could not work in salt water. It worked fine in fresh water, but half the time the shark would not work, and the shark was called Bruce. Now they made a couple of these sharks. One apparently is in a shark tank. It's in a tank over in Universal in California. My dad had seen it. And another one is in two palm trees. I saw this on Hollywood Treasures. But this one was just a pure classic, and I give it a 10 out of 10. It's a really, really good film. Next up, it's the only good sequel of the 3 sequels that they did to Jaws. Jaws 2, coming out in 1978. This one's actually a little bit shorter than the previous one. It's only shorter by about 7 minutes. Yeah, it's only 7 minutes shorter. Now, this film does pass. Now, this film came out 3 years after the previous film, but apparently, according to the film's story, it's been 4 years since 3 years. Okay, fine. Now, unlike in the first film, how they destroyed the shark, they blew it up by actually putting. They actually have. Now Quinn himself dies in the film. He gets eaten by the shark. As for Richard Dreyfuss's character, let's see if I can bring him up here. What's the name of Richard Dreyfuss's character? Let's see. Richard Dreyfuss's character's name is Matt Hooper. Yes. Matt Hooper. Oh, I almost kind of forgot about this. In the previous film, the writer makes a cameo as a reporter. This film, he doesn't. This film, let's see here. He has, well, nothing really much to do with the film except the fact that he used characters from the previous film. Now, there's only one reason why this film was made. Money. Because the previous film did so well, they made this film. And like I said, this is the only sequel that actually is good. Now, some might ask, is Spielberg involved with... Did Spielberg direct this one? Nope, he just directed the original. He passed on this one. This one's directed by a guy named, Janot Swasik. I think that's how you pronounce the person's name. I think it's either a guy or a woman. I don't know. Let's see. This is a guy. It's a guy. Alright. The guy is a French actor. He also directed the 84 version of Supergirl. Now this film, I don't think made much money as the previous one. This one made half of what the first Jaws made. But this film is still pretty enjoyable. It does feel like a really good follow-up to the first film. And it's the only one that actually feels kind of necessary. I kind of wish the Jaws series stopped right here. That they didn't make any more movies after this one. Because this film was just so good. Now this one, the first time I saw these two, this one and the first one, was actually at a camp I went to. And they actually showed off these films. It was Oceans type of thing. But this one was still really good. And I get this one a 9. It's a bit a step down from the previous one, but it's still enjoyable. How the shark is defeated is different from how the previous film does it. Where the body count is pretty much the same as in the previous film. This one, the shark is seeing a little bit more in this one. But, and Brody loses his job in this movie. Yep. Also, the shark is killed by biting on an underwater electrical cable, which is basically drawn to the surface. That is how it's defeated, by being fried. Yep. Not like being blown up in the previous movie. This one has just electrocuted. 9 out of 10. Alright, here's the first of the two bad sequels. Jaws 3. I don't have the fourth one. I don't have it. But the fourth one is the worst one of the entire series. This one is not too bad, but it is kind of bad. Also, I should mention, though, that the shark in the first and second movie and the fourth one are 25 feet long. The shark in this movie is much more bigger. This one's 35 feet long, and it's a great white. Which, from what I've heard, is not unusual, because according to the research I have done with great whites, they actually can go as long as 40 feet long. So, being 35, that's not very surprising. Now, Nostalgia Critic has done a review of this movie, but there's one particular scene he never talked about. It's the scene where they kind of like talk about the shark, because they actually found one of the guys that got bitten, where he was bitten by the big mother, because the whole thing of the film is that they had the baby great white. And also I should point out that they actually have two big name actors in here. They have Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. Dennis Quaid plays the son of Cheap Brody from the previous two films, but he's not the same actor. The actor who played between the previous two films is a completely different actor. Also, for some reason, the sequel they changed him a bit, and this one he's an engineer in this film. In the sequel, he is a marine biologist. I don't get why they changed that for. It's a bit bizarre. But the shark is much bigger, and it's not at he's not attacking a sea town. It's not attacking a seaport anymore. He's attacking SeaWorld. I am not kidding. He attacked SeaWorld. That's really the big point. It's the only point in this movie. And when this film came out back in '83, this film was released in 3D. And the special effects in this movie are crap. I am not kidding. Yeah, the shark moves very slowly at times. Even in 3D, it's terrible. I mean, I know for a fact, unlike today when the 3D gimmick was getting so stupid, this one was kind of like in the early stages of it. But The story itself is perfectly fine, just that the film is crap for what it is. But it's still it's an enjoyable bad movie. But I get the film a 7 out of 10, but it's just so enjoyable to watch. Maybe a 7.5, just be nice to it. And yeah, the director of this film is, let's see if I can try to find the person's name on here. Joe Abs, I think that's how you pronounce the person's name. Yeah, but that's simply it for this. But what more can you say? The Jaws shark attacks SeaWorld. Yeah, or at least a version of it anyways, but yeah, he attacks SeaWorld. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm not sure what's going to be yet, but I do have some movies up to be reviewed. But until then, I will see you there. Bye.